Hey everybody, so in this video I'm going to go more in depth on how to select items from HTML and then manipulate them. So specifically I will demonstrate select all, and I will demonstrate how to how to add not just style but also attributes of HTML elements. So really quickly, let's go ahead and comment all of this out and delete this div, and let's start from a blank page. I want to create a link on this page. The way you do that in HTML is an anchor tag, which is just an A. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. We don't see it here, and then as soon as I refresh, we see it appear. Great. Now, we don't see it on the page because we need to give it some text, so let's go ahead and just call it my link. There it is. It's not a link yet, though. It's not linking to anything because it needs an attribute. That's the term. It needs an attribute called href. So let's go ahead and link it to google.com. Once we do that, we'll be able to go to google.com from that link. Great. Now let's try to do that same thing, but with D3. So here we'll do D3 dot, just like we did up there. We'll select the anchor tag, and we will give it an attribute this time, attr. So as opposed to style, which applies CSS styling, an attribute will apply what you see here within the HTML element. So href equals, or anytime you see an HTML element with that sort of pattern, that's an attribute that you can apply using attr and D3. So here are a couple examples. Source, type are also good examples. So let's apply the attribute here of exactly what we did here previously. So we could do href and give it google.com. So same idea with style, the two arguments, same idea here. I'm going to comment that out for a second and go ahead and delete it from here, just so we could see sort of level set that it's not a link. And then as soon as I comment that back in, it will become a link. And when I click on it, it'll go to Google. Great. So another attribute we can add is to make the link go to a separate page, a separate tab. Now, the way you do that in HTML is target blank. And let's go ahead and give that a shot. So target blank. And I should mention before we do this, before I refresh, see that the href is there in the exact same way as it was the first time we implemented it inline in the HTML element. Putting it here ended up with the same result as applying it with D3. So now I'm going to do target blank, and let's watch how that works. There, so there's target blank, and when I click on the link, it'll open a different tab, just as we expected. Great. Now let's go ahead and create a div again on the home page, except this time we're going to delete everything out of the body and append a div onto the body through D3. So I'm going to go ahead and comment this out again, and we'll do D3. This time we'll select the body, and we'll learn a new method called append. This will select the body, and then append onto the body a div. So let's give that a shot. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and comment this out first, just to level set that we have a blank page. We've got nothing on here. And then let's go ahead and comment this in and see that a div appears. There it is. A div appeared. Now let's go ahead and give it some properties so we can just see it appear on the page. So we'll give it yellow, and we'll give it a height. There it is. Great. Now let's try to put an anchor tag into that div. So by the time that what's really important here is the concept of selections in D3. When we do select body, anything we string after that will be applied to that body. But as soon as we did append div, now anything we string after that will be applied to the div. So in this case, we're selecting the div, and we're giving it a background color of yellow. We're giving it a height of 200 pixels. Now let's go ahead and append to that div an anchor tag. Now anything we're doing below this anchor tag is applied, but below this line is applied to that anchor tag. So I like to indent just so we could see that delineated, that all of this is applied to the div, and everything after here is applied to the anchor tag. Let's go ahead and give it some HTML so we can see it on the page. So I'm going to type my link and maybe differentiate it from what we did before. There we go. We have the link in here. But again, it doesn't have any, it's not clickable. That's because we're missing these properties. So let's go ahead and add them. So we give it an attribute, href, and an attribute target equal to these. Great. That works. Now, a good practice is to generally save these as variables, especially if you intend to reuse them. So in this case, you might need to do something to the div later that you wouldn't be able to do because stringing it at the bottom here would be doing something to the anchor tag instead. So what you could do is create a constant variable, body, that selects the body, and then apply to that body the remainder here of appending a div and changing that div's properties, just like before. So this is exactly the same code as when it was all strung together, except we're breaking out the body into a different variable and then appending a div to it. So let's try that and see that it still works. There it is. Click on it and it works. Now let's do the same thing, except let's save the div. So const div equals body dot append div. And then here, let's do const link equals div dot append anchor tag. And actually, you see here, I forgot, let's apply these styles to the div. So these styles will apply to the div, and then here we'll have the append a, I have it twice here, will be on top of that div. So to recap, we're selecting the body, saving it in body, and then we're appending to that body a div and applying some style to it and saving that into a div constant. And then we're appending to that div an anchor tag, giving it some HTML and attributes, and saving that to a link. Let's see that that still works. Now let's go ahead and play around with this a little bit more so that we can see that it does indeed still work. So let's give it some style of green. And yeah, let's just start with that. Style of green, turned green. Let's give it some font size of 20 pixels, and we'll see it grow. So you see how that works? We'll make this purple. Great. Yeah, and so that's it. Now I want to demonstrate select all. So let's just do that very directly by appending to the div another link. So we'll call this link 1, we'll call this link 2, and they'll be exactly the same. Actually, let's call this link 2, this be link 1, just so we can differentiate them a little bit. This can be green, this could be yellow. Cool, we get some Lakers colors going on here. And maybe make this a little bit smaller. Great, now this is another reason you might want to save into constants, right? So you're able to append onto that div an anchor tag, and then reselect that div again to append another anchor tag onto it. So let's give that a shot. Great, there are 2 links. Now let's say at the very end, we want to make these these links the same, give them, select them together. In that case, we could use select all. So let's go ahead and we can make a constant, links equals, let's select the div, and then let's select all anchor tags within that div. And we're going to apply style to it. Let's say that style will be resetting the color to white. So let's give that a shot. Basically what we're doing here is we define link 1's color, we define link 2's color, but then we select all of them, and in this case both links, and we apply style, the same style to them and make them white. There we go. I just refreshed and they both appeared white. Cool. Thanks for watching.